It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today I want to talk about QOwnNotes. Now, I've talked about other note-taking applications in the past, like Joplin, Trilium Notes. They're absolutely incredible, powerful open source applications, and they still stand the test of time today. Joplin has some incredible note-taking, some amazing syncing, and some really great mobile apps for keeping up with your notes on the go. Trilium has awesome capabilities doing all kinds of different tables and charts and graphs and drawings and other things inside of your notes if you want to do that. I mean, just really terrific, and it has a really great hierarchy system as well, but it does lack an actual native mobile client. It has its own syncing service, which is really awesome and really great. So again, these are terrific note-taking applications. What I do on this channel is just give you options. I want you to understand that there's a lot of options out there that are open source and amazing, and QOwnNotes is one of those. So QOwnNotes is written in Qt or C++ essentially. It's a very lean application, and it's made for the desktop. The best thing about it is that it has this really great folder organization that is straight up plain text files put into folders on your system. You can set up those text files as markdown. That markdown shows up and you can see it in a preview window. So it's a really great way of taking notes, but you've got this nice editor and you don't even have to have this split pane. You can just have the editor, and as you can see, it gets the formatting, but you can see the actual markdown text as well. You can kind of set it up however you want, really. It's very nice, and it's very clean. Along with the folder organization and plain text files that is really awesome, you can also set this up to sync using Nextcloud. And in fact, it's built into the system to use Nextcloud or ownCloud, but you can also use SyncThing or rsync or any other syncing service that you want to use. But there's some extras you get with Nextcloud, which I really like. You get the versioning that Nextcloud has if you have the versioning enabled. You also get the restore deleted if you have that enabled on Nextcloud. There's an API that QOwnNotes uses, and you can install that as an add-on for Nextcloud as well. So you really get some really cool stuff. And then it's just stored in your Nextcloud Notes folder, and it's just the hierarchy of folders and notes that you're writing. So while there's not a native mobile client for QOwnNotes itself, you can use the Notes iOS app or the Notes Android app from Nextcloud to actually go and see and view and edit and go through your notes just like you always would. You can also use any other note app on your device that just does plain text notes that can access those folders and those files. It's really a great system, and I really like it a lot. For the desktop especially, I think it's very fast, it's very fluid, it's really an amazing piece of software, and I want to show you a few things about it today. So there are tons of settings, and really this piece of software could take like 3 hours of video. I don't want to do that. My videos are long enough as it is. So I'm going to show you how to download and install it. I'm going to show you how to set up the Nextcloud syncing. Now again, you can use ownCloud, rsync, SyncThing, whatever you want. I'm going to show you how to make sure you've got all the stuff set up that it needs, and it gives you some really good information to help you do that as well. We're going to go through a few layouts and theme changes that you can do on it, and then we'll actually talk about these different panels and the organization that you can do. And then finally, I'm going to show you how you can export from your Trilium notes and just move that right in basically a couple of steps to have everything ready and just up to date in QOwnNotes really fast. So stick with me, and we're going to get into all of that right after this. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons over at Patreon. Seriously, you guys make this so worth it for me to do these videos every week. I really truly enjoy it, and I just can't say thank you enough. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe. Let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job by subscribing to the channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I have new videos coming out. And finally, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give it a like. Just click on that thumbs up, and that way YouTube knows that you like it, and they'll pass it along to other people that might enjoy my content as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Let's get started. As always, the first thing we want to do is actually go and get the software. So we want to go and download the software. So we're going to go over here to installation. Now, if you look over here on the left, you've got a nice navigation that tells you how you can install this on different operating systems. So right here, they tell you, install on Ubuntu Linux, Elementary OS, Mint. Install on Windows. If you're a Windows user, you can absolutely use QOwnNotes, and you can use these same functions and features, which is awesome. Maybe you're somebody who uses all these systems, Linux, Windows, Mac OS, and you want to have a way to bring those things across from every operating system you're using. You can do that. There's OpenSUSE, there's Debian, there's Fedora. You can install it as a snap, you can install it as a Flatpak, you can install it as an app image. It's really kind of up to you how you get this installed and how you're going to use it. So one of the things that I like, I'm going to go here to Fedora. And if you look right here, it's going to use DNF, which is the base kind of install for Fedora. Now they've got this little thing that says, hey, how did you hear about us? You can just close that and it doesn't have to be in your way anymore. But yeah, you can just go in here and kind of say config manager, add a repo. You're going to add their repo. You're going to do DNF make cache, and then you're going to do DNF install. Now DNF is really awesome because it does like a controlled installation of things, and if it fails, it can roll that back, which is really nice because it makes it so that it doesn't accidentally break your system. It's a very, very cool application, a very cool way to do things. What I like though is that this actually uses Flatpak. Fedora uses Flatpak by default now, so you can just open up your software center and do it. You don't have to do anything in the command line. So if we go here to software, we can open the software center. I can type in QOwnNotes right here, and there it is. It's right there in the software center, and it's going to be installed as a Flatpak. Now I can choose, if it gives me an option here, I could choose a different way, but it's got it as a Flatpak, so we're just going to say install. It's not going to require anything from my user to have like special permissions or anything like that, and it's just going to run through the install real quick. This is a really clean, easy way to install something like QOwnNotes and get it up and running very fast. Flatpaks are incredible and they work across most Linux distributions. I would say it's probably more rare to find one where Flatpaks won't work than it is to find one where Flatpaks will. So you definitely should be able to get this to run. And again, if it's in your software center, that makes it super easy to get something installed. Once that's complete, you'll see something like this where you can open it right here from the software center, or you can just close out the software center and you can go back and just use your normal method of opening applications. So we can just type in QOwnNotes like that. And it's going to start up and it's going to tell you a couple of little tips that are very useful. So it says your Linux system seems to use the dark mode. First thing it does is detect that I'm in dark mode. It says, do you want to use the dark mode in QOwnNotes? And you can say, don't ask again. And we can just say, yes, I want to use the dark mode. It's going to open up over here in dark mode, and it's going to have a few things again, we're going to run through a little bit of a startup process. So it says, hey, this is where we think we want to put this. And if you're going to be syncing with Nextcloud, that's the place you do want it. So you want it to be in home, your user, and then Nextcloud and /notes. So that's where you want these things to be at. Now you can select a different folder just by clicking here and go pick from your file system if you need to. If it doesn't already have the note folder, you can have this created, so it'll do that. Just leave that checked. And then you can show subfolders so that you can see subfolders in the system. So we're just going to click on that. We're going to click next. And here it's got different options. You want the minimal look, which if you look, it's just the editor window and a side panel. If you click, you'll see what these look like. You can see that I've kind of got that full look here, so it says full. You can go preview only, so you're only seeing the preview window. You can go full vertical, so you can see the top part where you edit and the bottom part where you preview, or vice versa. And then you can do a single column, so it's a much narrower kind of system and setup, but it's very clean and kind of out of your way. So it's really up to you how you set this up, but I'm just going to go straight out of the gate with full. Let's just do that. We'll click on next. So the next thing it says is, hey, do you want to set this up with Nextcloud? And I do, so I'm going to say open up Nextcloud settings. So we're going to open up the settings window right here. And in the settings window, I'm going to say enable Nextcloud ownCloud support. So I'm going to check that box, and when I do it, it reveals a few more fields here for me. Your Nextcloud ownCloud server, we can set this as a default, but we'll just leave it as default for now. But the connection name, we'll just call this Nextcloud. How about that? That'll change it from default to Nextcloud. Now I want to set this to my Nextcloud URL, so you want to do the same thing. So I'll type this in. Once you do that, you're going to click on this login to Nextcloud. It's going to say, first, can I find it? Because the first time I did this, I mistyped my Nextcloud. I mistyped my Nextcloud URL, and it's like, yeah, I couldn't find Nextcloud there, so it won't even give you the chance to log in if you mistype it. So don't worry about that. Now, once you've got that, you're going to go back here and you're going to say, yep, I want to log in. So I'm already logged in, so it's just saying, hey, do you want to do this? I'm just going to click on login. If it doesn't have a token for me, it's going to ask me to go through my normal login process, which it is. So I use Authentic to log into my Nextcloud. And I'll just go and select my user. password, and then I have to do my two-factor authentication here. And once you get to the grant access, you should be able to hit grant access, and then it's going to tell you account is connected. So we want to see that message, which is great. And here it'll tell you the login flow was successful, so that's good. And it brings back this site, and it just fills in your username and your password that gets back from that token. So don't change that, because it's going to use that token to do all the interactions that you need. Now, if you'll notice, we can scroll over here, or else you can expand this window down. And down here, it's kind of keeping track of what all have you done so far to make this function. Say connect to the server. It's going to go through and check that everything is set up. So it checks your connection to the web server. It checks Nextcloud, ownCloud, server detected. Username and password are set. Connection to QOwnNotes API is set because I've already installed that. So if you look over here, it tells you, hey, you need to go do these things to make everything work correctly. So one of the things you'll want to do is go and set up the QOwnNotes API application inside of Nextcloud. And the way that you do that, so I'll go back over here to Nextcloud. Let's just go to it. All right, when you get logged into Nextcloud, you're going to go over here to your user's icon. And if you're an admin, which you should be, you're going to have this apps option. You're going to click on apps. When your apps page comes up, if you don't already have the QOwnNotes add-on set, you can just click on this little search icon and you can type it in, QOwnNotes. But in this case, I've already got it installed, so it's in my apps, but you'll be looking for the QOwnNotes API. Once you find that API, you'll just click on install and enable. And it goes pretty quickly. It doesn't take very long for it to get installed. And once you've done that, when you go back into your QOwnNotes setup, it's going to have all of that information ready for you. So once you've run through these different setup installations and you click server, you should get all OKs down here. Once that's done, you're really ready to go. We're just going to click on OK. We'll click on next. And it says QOwnNotes will track anonymous usage data. This is just to help them make the application better. But if you don't want that, you can open up your network settings and change everything about how that works. Just be aware that you can do that. But I don't mind sending them some data because I always want them to make improvements to the applications. I'm going to click on finish. We're pretty much done setting up the QOwnNotes. And as you'll see, there's going to be some stuff here because I've already got things done and it's starting to sync. But it's going to have some default things here as well. So I've gone over and I've kicked off the sync for my notes. And as you'll see, as that syncs, you're going to see this count of notes start to grow. It's because it's syncing from my other machine where I've already set up QOwnNotes and I set up all of my notes, but I didn't allow it to sync to Nextcloud until now. So I've enabled that sync and you can see it running. You can see as these notes are coming in, it's starting to sync everything over. And these are really just files inside of my notes directory. So if I go over here to my actual files page and I click on home, go to Nextcloud, you'll see a folder down here called notes. This is where everything's going. And here you can see what the folder looks like as things are getting imported and things are getting moved over and synced up. That's what you're seeing happening here. All this is a nice editor that allows us to do some really nice note taking and actually get things kind of set up in the way that we want. Now, one of the nice features is, because again I have low vision, this is pretty small for me to be typing on, but I can change that pretty easily. And I can, as you saw, I can just drag these panels back and forth, but I can just hold down Control and scroll forward. And you see it starts to get larger, which is great for somebody like me. This is how I'd expect this to work. This is how I want this to work. But here you can see I had my guacamole and I did my storyboard. I've got some other things coming in now that'll be really great. So I've got a test shopping list that I was making. I want to do a shared shopping list with my family where they can just check the boxes. I have my own app that we do that with, but it just seemed like Nextcloud would be a perfectly fine way to do that. Here's my notes from one of my previous videos where we talked about why not Linux. And I kind of went through all the things that I wanted to talk about and marked those off as I went. So I kind of use these as like little storyboard places. Here's my QOwnNotes and some of the things that I want to talk to you guys about as far as QOwnNotes works and how it goes. So you can see how this functions, and it starts to build out this folder structure for your notes. So up here you can actually just dig into your notes and find the things that you're looking for. And if you have notes in here, it's going to find those things. So if I go here, you'll see YouTube content has all notes. I can click, and down here I start to see these things. If I go there, you can see I've got a way that I can set up my access to my LAN from the WireGuard node, and I've got all my notes on how I do that and the things that I go through to kind of get things set up and functioning. So if I go to my posted video descriptions here, it's still syncing, but you'll see that I've actually got quite a few notes here. And I can just go down here and click on anything I want. So here's my hardware video where I talked about the hardware that I've got. Here's my speed test tracker video. Here's just all kinds of things that I've already done in the past, and I can go back and check these things to see how they function and how they work and how are they still the same? And if not, maybe it's time for an update video. So this is a great way for me to track things and keep track of what I'm doing. But this is really where I build out my show notes before I put them on the show notes page. I build them out in this, and then I move them over whenever I feel like everything's ready. So again, QOwnNotes is just a really terrific application for that. So while that's syncing, let's go look at the settings. So if you just click on the file menu up here, let's see, it says actually the note menu. If you go down here, you'll find this settings option. When you open up the settings, it opens up in a separate window here, just like this one. And you'll see there's a lot going on here. So first is the note folders and how do you want to see those things. So if you didn't do this when you first started, you want to make sure that you have on the view subfolders option. You'll find that in the layout area. But here's this default, and you can kind of create other places and other locations where you have notes. You don't have to store them all in one place or all in the same folder or parent folder even. So it's pretty great that it's flexible like that. When you click on Nextcloud, ownCloud, it takes just a second because it actually goes out to check what the settings are and are they loaded. And again, you can resize this window to make it easier to see things, but you've seen this window already. We went through it to make sure we had everything set up. So it's nothing really new here. It's just what you've already seen. On the network stuff, you can say whether or not you want things to be working, functioning, whether you need a proxy, disable the heartbeat, which this just sends out a heartbeat to let things know that it's working. And then app metrics, again, you can disable tracking of that data. So right here. With your to-do list, you kind of get this deck set up. So you can say, hey, what to-do list do you want this to use? So you can go down here and pick like which one do I want. On the interface, you can pick which language or leave it on automatic, and there's a few different settings here for the interface as well. The layout, now this is the one that you really want to pay attention to because remember we set ours to full. This has manual here, but if you click on full, you need to say check this box that says use layout and then confirm, yes, I want to do this. And you can say don't ask again, yes, I want it to do that, because it has to restart the application in order for that to take effect. That's why it pops that up to let you know like, hey, you're about to change what you're doing. So I made some changes, so it kind of set those back. But there we go, you can kind of see what's going on. And here's the thing about Trilium notes. So where we talked about that one in the past. But then you can go back into your settings and kind of keep going with your different setup, but it will warn you before it tries to close the application when you make those kind of changes, which is something I do appreciate. So you have a lot of editor options as well, so you can kind of change how the editor functions, how it looks, how it feels, how it works. If you want different font sizes, if you want different breaks, things like that, you can set all of that up. So this is where you've just got like this dark theme, but you've got all these different themes. So here's Dracula, and it shows you a preview of what that theme is going to look like, so you can decide, is that one that I want to try? So here's Monokai Dark. You know, a lot of people like that one. Here's Solarized Dark, and then they do have some light themes as well, so I'll just do one just to let you kind of see that they do have those as well. Some people don't like dark modes, and I totally understand that, but this is this one dark that they have already, this one here, the first dark, is very nice. So you can set up what panels you want to see and how many of those panels you want to see. You've got your toolbars, you can see your preview setup. I mean, you've just got a lot of settings in here, and you really kind of need to go through these on your own to see what they are, but you can set up your hotkeys. You can figure out what hotkeys you like for doing things in really fast shortcuts. I like that as well. So really some very cool settings. I mean, look at all these hotkeys you can set up. This is amazing for all the actions you can do and set up some very nice hotkeys. And you've got a search up here. You don't have to scroll. So if you're looking for something specific, let's say you were looking for, so if we start typing remove, you'll see remove current note, remove current workspace, and they've got these different hotkeys for you, and you can change those hotkeys to something else if that's what you want to do. So that makes it very fast for you to actually find things in that list and make those changes to make it something that's easy for you to pick up and start using. They have some scripting. I haven't messed with this much, so I can't talk too much about it. They do have what they call portable mode. That's interesting to me, but again, not something I need right now on this machine. You can set up Git versioning. So a lot of people like to use Git for the versioning on their stuff, but in my case, since I'm using Nextcloud and I've got the versioning turned on, I don't need the Git versioning. But if you're using SyncThing or something else and you wanted to have some versioning that may not be built in, you can set up Git versioning. Now I think SyncThing does have versioning built in, but if you weren't using it for some reason, you could set up Git for that instead. You can see the local trash. You have an experimental, and something that this does is instead of showing like you see back here right now where the folders are in one pane and the notes are down here in another pane. So as you click on a folder, you see the notes down here. If you wanted all those things in one pane like this, where when you click on the folder, it shows you the notes that are in it, you can just check this box, tell it that's what I want it to do. And then if you click on OK, it may have to restart the app again. I don't know. And then, yeah, I think it's going to have to. So you're just going to click restart. It's going to go back. It's going to restart again. And there we go. Yeah, now we've got everything in a single pane. So I think we should be able to bring this out a little bit. But yeah, so we've got all of our notes and folders in kind of one place. So now I can actually just expand this and look at my development folder from a long time ago. And you can see I've got base time code for LifeCode projects. I've got different projects that I was working on at the time. So hold this line of code. I don't even know what this was for. Parent pickup. So different applications that I thought about building at one point. Here's my peanut butter pie recipe. If you're interested in a peanut butter pie recipe, this is a really good one. I like it. It's a no-bake kind of frozen peanut butter pie. Super rich, really unhealthy, but extremely delicious if you're not allergic to peanuts. So that's QOwnNotes. I mean, just absolutely tremendous capabilities with note-taking. Absolutely amazing, powerful note-taking, and very fast. And I love the sync. I love that it's combined with Nextcloud, and I love that I can use the Nextcloud Notes app to edit these notes on my mobile if I want to. Just really great. I really like it, and I love these open source note-taking applications. If you like this, if you like QOwnNotes, if you get it and you're using it all the time, please consider donating to the QOwnNotes project. Every time you use something that's open source and you love it, let them know that by donating something. It doesn't matter if it's $1, it doesn't matter if it's €1, it doesn't matter if it's just a bot, it doesn't matter what currency you use, if it's a peso, every little bit helps. It always makes a difference to those developers to know that you appreciate their project enough to donate some money to them. And it helps keep that project going. This is QOwnNotes. I think you guys are really going to like it. I hope you'll get out there and give it a shot. I do want to show you one more thing before we're finished. I want to show you how to export your Trilium notes and put them into QOwnNotes. It's really easy, and you don't even need QOwnNotes open, actually. So I'm going to close QOwnNotes. I'm going to leave the Explorer here open, and I'm going to go and actually open up my Trilium notes. If you'll go to the note level that you want to export and move over. So in my case, it would be this part here where it says My Notes. If you right click, you'll see down here that there's an export option. Down here in this menu, you're going to click on Export. It's going to come up and say, how do you want to export this? Do you want this in HTML and a zip archive? Do you want it in Markdown? And in this case, because QOwnNotes uses Markdown, we want it in Markdown. So we're going to select that option. And then you can say only this without the children. But in this case, I want everything underneath it as well. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click on Export. And it's going to tell me, okay, we're going to export it. Where do you want to export it to? So I'll export it to my downloads here, and it's going to be called mynotes.zip. So we'll just say save, and that's done. So if I go over here to downloads, I'll see mynotes.zip, and I can extract that thing. And it's going to create a folder called My Notes. And inside of that, I've got all of my notes. So you can see here that I've got all of the notes that I had, and there they are. It's a Markdown file. It's really great. So I can take this notes level. So if you look, I'm in Downloads. I'm going to go to My Notes, and then it's got another My Notes here. So I'm going to grab this folder. I'm just going to copy this guy, and I'm going to go over into Nextcloud. So if I go back to my home, Nextcloud, and then go down to Notes. Now I already have it, but in this case, you would just right click and paste the My Notes there. When you do that, go back into your QOwnNotes, and you're going to see that it's suddenly going to have all of these notes. You can do a reload of all your notes in the QOwnNotes interface, and you'll see all of those notes that you had in Trilium there. So you can move those over. It also has the ability to import notes from Joplin. So if you're thinking, I really love these other open source applications, but I want to try QOwnNotes, but I need all my notes over there to see if I really like it, this is the way to do that. You can export from Trilium, move them over. You can move them over from Joplin. Maybe you're using Obsidian. Export them from Obsidian and see if you can get them imported into QOwnNotes. What if you're using Evernote? QOwnNotes has a way to import them from Evernote. There are so many great note applications out there in the world, but there are so many incredible note applications that are open source. I think QOwnNotes is one that you're really going to like. I think it's worth it for you to get out there and give it a try. See what you think of it. I think you're going to love it. It keeps it in a normal folder structure. It lets you control that structure, and it syncs it with Nextcloud or ownCloud or SyncThing or rsync or whatever syncing service you want to use. And if you're using Nextcloud, it just goes right into your notes area, and then you can use your mobile device to edit those notes or any other notes app that can edit those plain text notes. I just think that's absolutely amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time. It's your open source advocate, and I'm back, and I've set up a store with a little bit of merchandise. I love being your open source advocate, but I want you guys to be the open source advocates with me. So if you want to, get out there and get some of this stuff. And if you do, let me know what you think of it. Thank you for subscribing.